Pharaoh's Dreams by Ginzberg. Properly speaking, Joseph should have gone out free from his dungeon on the same day as the butler. He had been there 10 years by that time, and had made amends for the slander he had uttered against his 10 brethren. However, he remained in prison 2 years longer. Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope is the Lord. But Joseph had put his confidence in flesh and blood. He had prayed the chief butler to have him in remembrance when it should be well with him, and make mention of him unto Pharaoh, and the butler forgot his promise, and therefore Joseph had to stay in prison 2 years more than the years originally allotted to him there. The butler had not forgotten him intentionally, but it was ordained of God that his memory should fail him. When he would say to himself, "If thus and so happens, I will remember the case of Joseph," the conditions he had imagined were sure to be reversed, or if he made a knot as a reminder, an angel came and undid the knot, and Joseph did not enter his mind. 1:5. But the Lord setteth an end to darkness, and Joseph's liberation was not delayed by a single moment beyond the time decreed for it. God said, "Thou, O butler, thou didst forget Joseph, but I did not," and he caused Pharaoh to dream a dream that was the occasion for Joseph's release. 1:5-6. In his dream Pharaoh saw 7 kine, well-favored and fat-fleshed, come up out of the Nile, and they all together grazed peaceably on the brink of the river. In years when the harvest is abundant, friendship reigns among men, and love and brotherly harmony, and these 7 fat kine stood for 7 such prosperous years. After the fat kine, 7 more came up out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed, and each had her back turned to the others, for when distress prevails, one man turns away from the other. For a brief space Pharaoh awoke, and when he went to sleep again, he dreamed a second dream, about 7 rank and good ears of corn, and 7 ears that were thin and blasted with the east wind. 1:57. The withered cars swallowing the full ears. He awoke at once, and it was morning, and dreams dreamed in the morning are the ones that come true. 1:58. This was not the first time Pharaoh had had these dreams. They had visited him every night during a period of 2 years, and he had forgotten them invariably in the morning. This was the first time he remembered them, for the day had arrived for Joseph to come forth from his prison house. Pharaoh's heart beat violently when he called his dreams to mind on awaking. 1:60, especially the second one, about the ears of corn, disquieted him. He reflected that whatever has a mouth can eat, and therefore the dream of the 7 lean kine that ate up the 7 fat kine did not appear strange to him, but the ears of corn that swallowed up other ears of corn troubled his spirit. He therefore called for all the wise men of his land, and they endeavored in vain to find a satisfactory interpretation. They explained that the 7 fat kine meant 7 daughters to be born unto Pharaoh, and the 7 lean kine that he would bury 7 daughters. The rank ears of corn meant that Pharaoh would conquer 7 countries, and the blasted ears, that 7 provinces would rebel against him. 1:62. About the ears of corn, they did not all agree. Some thought the good ears stood for 7 cities to be built by Pharaoh, and the 7 withered ears indicated that these same cities would be destroyed at the end of his reign. Sagacious as he was, Pharaoh knew that none of these explanations hit the nail on the head. He issued a decree summoning all interpreters of dreams to appear before him on pain of death, and he held out great rewards and distinctions to the one who should succeed in finding the true meaning of his dreams. In obedience to his summons, all the wise men appeared, the magicians and the sacred scribes that were in Mizraim, the city of Egypt, as well as those from Goshen, Ramses, Zoan, and the whole country of Egypt, and with them came the princes, officers, and servants of the king from all the cities of the land. To all these the king narrated his dreams, but none could interpret them to his satisfaction. Some said that the 7 fat kine were the 7 legitimate kings that would rule over Egypt, and the 7 lean kine betokened 7 princes that would rise up against these 7 kings and exterminate them. The 7 good ears of corn were the 7 superior princes of Egypt that would engage in a war for their overlord, and would be defeated by as many insignificant princes who were betokened by the 7 blasted ears. Another interpretation was that the 7 fat kine were the 7 fortified cities of Egypt, at some future time to fall into the hands of 7 Canaanitish nations, who were foreshadowed in the 7 lean kine. According to this interpretation, the second dream supplemented the first. It meant that the descendants of Pharaoh would regain sovereign authority over Egypt at a subsequent period, and would subdue the 7 Canaanitish nations as well. There was a third interpretation given by some. The 7 fat kine are 7 women whom Pharaoh would take to wife, but they would die during his lifetime, their loss being indicated by the 7 lean kine. Furthermore, Pharaoh would have 14 sons, and the 7 strong ones would be conquered by the 7 weaklings, as the blasted ears of corn in his dream had swallowed up the rank ears of corn. And a fourth, Thou wilt have 7 sons, O Pharaoh, these are the 7 fat kine. These sons of thine will be killed by the 7 powerful rebellious princes, but then 7 minor princes will come, and they will kill the 7 rebels, avenge thy descendants, and restore the dominion to thy family. The king was as little pleased with these interpretations as with the others which he had heard before, and in his wrath he ordered the wise men, the magicians and the scribes of Egypt, to be killed, and the hangmen made ready to execute the royal decree. However, Mirod, Pharaoh's chief butler 163, took fright, seeing that the king was so vexed at his failure to secure an interpretation of his dreams that he was on the point of giving up the ghost. He was alarmed about the king's death, for it was doubtful whether the successor to the throne would retain him in office. He resolved to do all in his power to keep Pharaoh alive. Therefore he stepped before him and spake, saying, I do remember 2 faults of mine this day. I showed myself ungrateful to Joseph, in that I did not bring his request before thee, and also I saw thee in distress by reason of thy dream, without letting thee know that Joseph can interpret dreams. 164. When it pleased the Lord God to make Pharaoh wroth with his servants, the king put me in ward in the house of the captain of the guard, me and the chief baker, and with us there was a simple young man, one of the despised race of the Hebrews, slave to the captain of the guard, and he interpreted our dreams to us, and it came to pass as he interpreted to us, so it was. Therefore, O king, stay the hand of the hangmen, let them not execute the Egyptians. The slave I speak of is still in the dungeon, and if the king will consent to summon him hither, he will surely interpret thy dreams.